What's good, y'all? Welcome back to Appreciate Greatness. Please do not mind the bed. I'm washing my sheets. Pretty simple what we're talking about today. The NBA Finals starts today as this is posted, tomorrow as I'm recording it. It's going to be exciting. It should be really fun. Two really fun teams, two really young teams who are small market teams, and we're homegrown, really. I mean, built through one trade to get their big guy or big piece, their star guy, and from then on just drafted really well, traded really well. For the Pacers, it was drafting Andrew Nembhard was a great pick. Miles Turner 10 years ago, great pick. The Pascal trade was big for them. Obviously the Tyrese trade goes hand in hand with the Shea trade, and that's how the Thunder ended up with J-Dub, and a lot of great trades, a lot of great moves, a lot of great drafts for these two teams. And I did a little deep dive and came away with my two biggest priorities for each team. One of them is pretty much the same, and then I have a big thing, pretty much my biggest key that I'm going to talk about at the end. So I think we just get this underway. If you do enjoy the video and stick around to watch the end, please give it a like, subscribe. That'd be really helpful. I wanted to reach 100 subscribers by June 20th. That is my birthday. It would be an awesome birthday present to me. So hit that subscribe button. I think we're 21 away. Let's get into this. So for the Pacers, their first priority is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. When I look at the Pacers, obviously you have Andrew Nembhard, you have Aaron Nesmith. Both are good defenders. Don't get me wrong. I love Andrew Nembhard defensively. I think he is one of the best perimeter defenders in the NBA. But I think Shai is just so much better. And at this point, I don't think there's a single defender. You look at Amin, Toumani Camara, Lou Dort, even the top of the top defenders. I don't think they can cover or guard Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, especially one-on-one. And that's the big thing about the Pacers, is they really like to play single coverage. Even against the Knicks, there wasn't a lot of help or hard help or really hard gaps. It was a lot of single coverage, and it's going to be interesting to see if that's what the Pacers do against Shai. I haven't seen them run much defense, especially in the games I watched. I think I watched 10 games, 5 playoff games, and then I watched these two teams play each other. In the first game, I believe, there was no Aaron Nesmith. In one of the games, there was no Chet. So pretty tough, obviously, to distinguish what's real and what's playoff like and what's regular season like, obviously. But I did give you a little game plan. I think you do let Andrew Nembhard do his thing on Shai. I think whatever he wants to do, however he wants to guard him, you let him. But you have to come off and help off shooters a lot more than normal. And if and when iHeart is in, I think you have to blitz. I think you have to get the ball out of Shai's hands, force iHeart to make plays in the short roll, or force Shai to make the tough skip pass, or whatever it might be. Rotate early. Don't let him make the pass to iHeart. Make him make the pass to 2 passes away and skip it and try and steal it that way. Because the Pacers and the Thunder, two of the best. We'll get into this, but they're two of the best turnover teams, and scoring points off turnovers, and even taking care of the ball and not turning it over teams in the NBA. And Shai's one of the best stars, maybe the best star I've really ever seen when it comes to not turning the ball over, especially with, let me rephrase that. He's the best volume scoring star that I've ever seen when it comes to not turning the ball over, with how much he has the ball in his hands and how many assists he gets and how much he sets up his teammates, if that makes sense. But again, I think the best option is hedging hard or blitzing Shai and iHeart screens, and just rotating well off of it. I don't think any coverage is going to stop Shai. I don't, especially against this Pacers team, because there's not many answers. In the Timberwolves series, you had Jaden McDaniels, you had Anthony Edwards, and then Rudy Gobert in the paint. You don't have that if you're the Pacers. For the Nuggets, you just had a whole bunch of disciplined defenders, and Jokic has some of the best hands in the league, and we saw him rip Shai, when he was trying to get at him a couple times in that series. You don't have that if you're the Pacers. You have Miles Turner, who's a good shot blocker, a good rim protector, but not elite, I wouldn't say. Not, one of those guys that you're scared of. So, again, you have to figure out a way to stop Shea. I think what I said is the best way to, limit him. You're not going to stop him, but you can limit him a little bit. For the Thunder, I think their number one priority is forcing turnovers. I think we saw a lot over the season how much in every game they force turnovers, but games where they haven't won, they've struggled to force those turnovers or convert on turnovers. And Hallie takes care of the ball pretty much better than any point guard we've seen since, the Steve Nashes, the Chris Pauls. He's those level of ball care guys as well as playmakers. But there were some coverages that I thought made him struggle. Primarily, it was Mikal Bridges picking him up basically full court every possession, and Mitchell Robinson hard hedging or blitzing Hallie, which really, surprisingly, if I'm being honest, forced him to struggle in that Game 5, I believe. Game 6 he handled it a lot better. I also thought they got out and ran a lot more, so it didn't matter as much. But I do think, if you throw Lou Dort, who's one of the best screen navigators, offensive foul drawers in the NBA, and blitz those PNR coverages, or, blitzing all PNRs as your coverage, I think it'll work pretty effectively even without that length of a Mikal Bridges guarding Hallie. Again, I think you have to force Hallie to pass it to the short roll, and for the Thunder, especially against Pascal Siakam, a guy like Pascal, you can kind of compare his game a little bit. Not everything's the same, obviously. It's not really too close, but I do think there's a lot of tendencies that are similar between Pascal and Julius Randle, and I think especially if he spins, Pascal's going to have some turnover problems because he likes to get to the post. And I think the Thunder are going to take a big-time advantage of Pascal Siakam, and it's going to force everything to run a little bit more through Hallie than I think the Pacers would like it to. But, again, just rotate early, get your hands ready for Miles Turner or Pascal Siakam to bring him down. And, obviously, the Pacers move the ball really well, and I'm going to get into that with my last thing, the most important thing. Second, for the Pacers, I had turnover battle. Again, two of the best teams in playoff history when it comes to turnover differential. The best decision maker in the NBA gives you a big-time advantage. You got to take care of the ball, and I think things are going to have to run through Hallie more than normal. And more than you would think. I think every time down, Hallie has to bring the ball up. He has to be the one to initiate offense. Again, ball movement, forcing closeouts, that stuff is big. And it goes hand in hand with the Thunder's number 2. They have to stop dribble penetration, especially initial dribble penetration. The Pacers and Tyrese, of course, they initially drive more than I think more than any team. I can't obviously prove this, but it feels like more than any team in the NBA, where they don't even get into a set and they just go and try to create something and then kick and then swing, force rotations, and that's what they're great at. And I do think OKC is best prepared to stop that. You have Cason Wallace, Alex Caruso, Lou Dort, Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren. That's the big key, is having a guy like Chet who is maybe... he's one of, if not the best, rim protector in the NBA. And he's not a guy that guys are going to want to go into or drive into to try to finish. They're going to try and kick out. And then you have Cason Wallace and Lou Dort, like I said, Alex Caruso, and Williams, Shea Gilgeous. You have all those guys closing out and really just great. First of all, they're so unbelievable at closing out and standing ground. And second of all, even when you're moving the ball well and you're a good ball movement team, they still find a way to stop that. So stopping the dribble penetration, and if you're the Pacers, you have to find a way to get dribble penetration. And the biggest thing is the way the Thunder rotate is something I've never seen before. I remember a possession earlier this year. I just showered, my hair is not good, but I remember a possession earlier this year that really showed me how well the Thunder are at rotating. And again, this is the most important thing, I think, is how the Thunder rotate against the Pacers' ball movement. There was a possession where it was Casey Wallace and Jalen Williams doing a rotation that you don't see in the NBA a lot. And I think it's a credit to Mark Daigneault, and I almost said Mark Williams, and all of his personnel. Obviously, they put it in, they install it, and then it's just these Thunder players are so smart and so elite at picking it up in game, during in-game situations, to where they can do these just exotic rotations or crazy rotations, whether it's to keep Chet in the paint and all rotate, or which is pretty common throughout the NBA, or it's like, you know, a scram or whatever it might be. I mean, these guys are so good at it. And to me, that's the key, is if the Thunder are prepared to really, really rotate almost every possession, and I think they will be, and that's why, in the end, I have Thunder in 5. I don't see an answer for Shea again, and I just don't see a way, really, for the Pacers to score, because I struggle to see ways Halliburton can score. I struggle to see ways Pascal can score. And obviously, the Thunder like to leave shooters open from the corners. I think they're going to be a lot more disciplined in this series because they're not a guy that you can lay off of, and they just have some of the best one-on-one defenders in the NBA. They have the best pre-rotators and rotators in the NBA. So to me, it feels like a pretty obvious Thunder win. I'm going Thunder in 5. They can maybe go 6 because I do think the Pacers have the best offense in the league, and the Thunder haven't faced this level of offense yet. But I think the Thunder pretty comfortably win the NBA Finals. So I hope y'all enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe, do y'all thing. Again, trying to reach 100 subscribers by June 20th. That's 2 weeks, ladies and gentlemen. So please subscribe up. Yeah, but I love y'all. Thank you for watching. Peace.